Are you a parent wondering if you're doing right by your kids?
A therapist looking for real-world applications and working with children and their families?
A teacher trying to navigate educating the whole child in today's world?
Then this is the podcast for you.
Hey guys, it's Brigid
And Jenna.
the teacher.
And the therapist. Hey, Brigid.
Hey,
Hey, everyone. Welcome to our first mini-sode.
Mini.
We are going to try to keep this short, but I think you all know by now we are talkers, so we'll try. Brigid, what are we talking about today?
Okay, it's August. It's back to school. Today we are going to cover some back to school tips that parents, teachers, and even therapists can use to get ready to go back to school.
Yes, for sure. As a teacher, what are some of your main tips that you have?
I think the biggest one is going to be that we want to start this process
Mhm.
at least a week or two in advance.
Right now, I know.
Yeah, like literally, if you're listening to this episode right now, immediately start getting your kids ready for school.
Yes.
We're going to start especially shifting our bedtimes, our wake up times. In summer, we've been pushing stuff back typically.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to start getting back on a normal sleep schedule. It's going to be easiest to start in those mornings. It's going to be easier to say, okay, let's wake up 15 minutes earlier today,
Okay.
rather than let's go to bed 15 minutes earlier.
Yeah, they're not going to like
We'll
that.
start naturally shifting. I would say about 15 minutes every couple days.
At a time. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to just be like, okay, now
6
wake up an
a.m.
hour and a half
Yeah.
early. No. But we gotta start. And that's why we want to start early. So we have that time to kind of inch our way back.
Sure.
Especially for those big kids, those teens who have been probably sleeping in till the early afternoon. They really got to start getting back onto that. School starts at 7. We got to be up at 6 o'clock kind of train.
Right.
So
Oh my gosh. High school starts so early.
very
Don't
early.
even get me on that. I've been having this conversation with so many clients, and I'm like, listen, I get it. It sucks. And you got to do it.
You
So
gotta.
Here
Yep.
we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
So definitely start like what are you going to prep the night before? Is it going to be lunches?
Mhm.
Start making those kind of like assignments for your family, right? Is it each child makes their own lunch, or mom makes lunch, or
Okay.
dad makes lunch, or who picks out the outfits, or if we have uniforms. Sometimes uniforms are clothes kids aren't used to wearing.
Sure.
Like if it's the belts and the polo shirts with the buttons, that can be a struggle for them to learn
Yeah, like sensory
to put it
input-wise.
on and all that. So starting to try on those uniforms, get them used to undoing their belts, putting their tie shoes on and off,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff is going to go into that. Definitely start reviewing those school skills that you let slide over the summer.
Oh, okay. Like what?
Like you probably didn't do a lot of your math facts and a lot of your reading,
That's
right?
fair.
The biggest thing that you're going to want to do is probably about 20 minutes a night of reading.
Okay.
You might have let it go a little bit over summer, but that
Sure,
gets
been
us
more
back
lax.
into that like routine of, okay, I come home and have homework or whatever. I have this time that I'm focused. And reading is really the best way to get little ones' brains working.
Mhm.
You can read to them. You can have them read. They can read aloud to you. Honestly, if you listen to an audiobook, that's good enough too. Or
Sure. Something.
you can get a book and the audio from the library. You can read along with it. Great ways to get your kids reading. And now is a good time to start that 20 minutes a night, getting them back into that school at home routine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
One time
in first grade, my teacher at the end of the year gave me this like handwriting packet, and I didn't do it. And to this day, at 29 years old, I stand by. That's why I have bad handwriting, because I didn't do my summer homework. So
Oh, man.
kids, do your homework.
I
Don't
mean-
be like me. I'm kidding. That was just a funny anecdote.
Oh my. So this one is big for me as a teacher. As much as you can, make sure that you have those school supplies purchased and ready to go for the first day.
That has to be so frustrating if that doesn't happen for you.
It's understandable. You can't always get everything, I know, but it's not only frustrating for me when I'm trying to put stuff away and organize my classroom, it's frustrating for the kids.
The kids who don't have it.
Yeah. When we're saying, okay, and your folder goes here, and they're like, but I don't, and they're not being able to do the things they need to do.
Yeah.
Or when I'm saying, okay, your pencil box is going to go this way on the shelf, and they don't have a pencil box yet. Like,
Yeah.
it's
sure.
difficult, and it's hard for them too. And it's just easier that way. I don't have to say, okay, Brigid has her notebook but doesn't have her binder, and Jenna has her binder but she doesn't have her pencil box. And it's a lot.
I'm sure socially that could have impacts too of like, I'm the only kid in the class that doesn't have a folder or doesn't have my crayons. Or I know that was a big thing too. Like, oh, they have the 64 pack.
A lot of classrooms these days are kind of getting away from that, and everything kind of goes to like a communal
together
thing. But it can still happen. You know, you have your little pencil pouch or whatever, and
you have a folder. You have to take some.
Yeah, you have. Yeah. There are things that are individual to your child that they're going to want to have from the get-go. Oh, those back to school, meet the teacher nights, all that kind of stuff. Go to them.
Sure.
I don't care if you've been to the school since your kid was 3. Go to it
again.
It's a new teacher. It's a new building.
Yeah.
And possibly a new building. A new classroom.
Sure. Yeah.
New kids in the classroom. It's just a chance to get to see.
Yeah.
And kind of introduce your kid on a very no pressure schedule.
Yeah. I know you work with the younger kids, but I was going to ask, like, do you see that most families do that or not? Like, I think we've talked about like parent-teacher conferences kind of get more lax as people get older. But I would imagine at your age, people are on it, but I don't know.
You'd be surprised, especially when people have had multiple kids. They kind of go, the parents look at it as, well, I know the building. I know the routine.
Teacher.
I know the things. But your child doesn't. Yes, you've been through it 6 times before and you're on your 7th kid, but it's their first time.
Right.
And so we still want to make their needs a priority there.
Okay.
And letting them get to see that environment.
Yeah.
And it's new. I mean, things have changed. Maybe teachers have changed. Things are new.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to keep up with those things that we're going to.
Okay. Good thinking.
Obviously, a lot of this stuff is like for kids who are going to a school. But if you're a homeschool family, you still have to be transitioning. Assuming you've taken the summer off, you're not school around.
Yeah.
Then you still need to be transitioning back into, okay, we're going to start doing our work again. We're going to start like this day, this is the day we're going to start our schooling. And maybe we'll start with, you have flexibility. You'll say, we'll do 15 minutes this day, and then we'll do 20 minutes the next day. But something that gets them back into that routine of the school year is going to be, and like say you have your co-ops that you're a part of, start reaching back out, making sure you're good to go and doing those
this
things.
Still? What day?
All that stuff. And then obviously also if you took the summer off from your therapy, from your OT, from your speech, from your whatever.
Schedule those appointments.
Yeah, reach back out to those therapists, get back on the schedule because we're ready to go.
Yeah.
What about you, Jenna? What do you think?
Much the same thing. Like, honestly, you covered a lot of it. The routine is really huge and starting early, not just like, okay, the routine starts tomorrow on the first day of school. And definitely like foreshadowing it. This is what it's going to look like, especially for those transitional periods. If you're going to school for the first time, if you're going to a new school, middle school, high school, like whatever it is, kindergarten. And books. I know I love books.
What books this time, Jenna?
Especially for the younger kids. There's one that comes to mind off the top of my head. And I actually think I read it, so it's probably really old. It is really old because I'm really old. But in kindergarten, it's called The Night Before Kindergarten. And it kind of goes through like as if it's the night before Christmas. So it's like the night before kindergarten and all through the house. So that's kind of fun. I actually saw so shout out to the Kid Lit Mama on Instagram.
Love her.
I love her. And she has, for everything, for social emotional learning, for racism, for like different kinds of friends, like all kinds of things. And she recently did one for like going back to school. And so I really like her because a lot of the books I've not heard of. They're kind of more different books. So I really like that. But yeah, in addition to like the routine and kind of starting that early, I also like to reevaluate the teen or the child's like level of independence. Are they able to get dressed in the morning? Are they able to pick out their clothes now this year versus like last year they weren't. And that might mean some of those natural consequences that we've talked about before, depending on how lenient you're willing to be. But like your little one might go to school in a non-matching outfit.
Yep. that personal choice, though, that expression of self and independence is so much more important at that age than their shorts match their shirt.
Right. Yeah. Or with our teens, like they might, are they in charge of setting their alarm? Like they might not get out the door on time, right? And are you willing for them to have those natural consequences of getting a tardy slip or whatever their school has for waking up late and not getting there on time? So just being okay with that, and it's going to be a learning curve for everyone involved. And then, some, like you said, rescheduling the appointments, going and meeting the teachers. I'm a big proponent of get all the help that you can get and set your child up for success. So if they have medical needs or mental health needs, there might be other important places in the school for them to know. Where's the nurse's office? How do I get from my classroom to the nurse's office? Where is the office?
Right.
If they have early dismissal or late arrival and things like that. Even into high school, I know that they have that. And knowing the routine, what does that look like? Do I have to check in with the office when I come for late arrival? Do I go somewhere? So teacher, school nurse, any kind of school psychologist, social worker, if there's counselors in the building, and sign those releases if you can. If they're seeing an outside OT or therapist or doctor, get those signed now so that it's not my kid needs his insulin, but the nurse has no way to contact me or the doctor or whatever to get, final formal approval.
And a lot of times those, if you're on medication, it's going to need to be in the specific bottle and labeled and all of that.
Yeah.
You might need to be requesting it from your pharmacy.
Yes.
An extra bottle to keep at school or an extra EpiPen to keep at school, whatever it is, because it needs to be in that official container usually.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are things good to communicate to the teacher. He has a peanut allergy. You need to be aware of that. I know some schools or some classrooms are no peanuts, but some aren't.
Yep.
So being cautious of that, especially if you're packing snacks or lunches and things. And then I always just, want to squeeze in the mental health component. Know the signs of if things are maybe requiring if there's more serious concerns or requiring maybe some additional help of an outside provider.
It's going to be a transition and struggle for all kids.
Yeah.
But we need to look for when is this more than just a struggle of a transition.
Right. Absolutely.
What kind of stuff should we look for?
Yeah. And the younger kids, a lot of times it's physical. So they're going to be saying their belly hurts, their head hurts, things like that. So I get a lot of referrals like that. Their belly's been hurting. They went to the doctor and there's nothing, that they could find, which is great. We always want to rule that out first.
Absolutely.
Panic attacks, any kind of increase in anxiety. Again, that I work a lot with medical doctors closely on that. I don't want to miss something that's cardiac related. And then as the kids get older and more into that school age range, behavior changes. If they're more aggressive, if they are more withdrawn, you have this peppy kid that now is, sad or irritable all the time in their room. Anything that you notice is really different. Or vice versa, that they have a ton of energy and a ton of they're just not themselves.
Right.
And then certainly into the teens, that can be anxiety, panic attacks, the low mood, something to look for in all ages, eating and sleeping changes. And of course, that first weekend they might be more tired because they had to get up. But if it's persistent, if it's significant, if it's impacting them, if they're starting to regress, they had no problems with potty training and now they are again, they're sucking their thumb, that when they haven't for a long time, those are things to look out for.
And so then if we see those things, we obviously panic and cry and then what?
And then what? Yeah. So actually, being back in school, that's a great resource. Find out, I used to be school-based. I worked in a school once a week. And so it was right there. Teachers and the school counselor would refer. Parents could refer directly to me. And then I saw the kids at school. So it was very convenient. So see if your school has those resources or knows of outside places. Hey, we have this local place we work with, or I know, just kind of word of mouth. Psychology Today is always an option. That's kind of that's the gold standard for finding a therapist. So, or just going, reaching out to the pediatrician or the family doctor.
Yeah, pediatrician, family doctor will definitely be able to help you.
That's a good first step as well. So if you're getting back into it for yearly checkups or sports physicals and things like that, it's always a good time to bring it up. So.
And the most important thing to remember is that you know your child the best.
Yeah.
As teachers, as therapists, we do spend time with your child. We get to know them, but not like you do as the mom and dad. And so, or caregiver, whomever you are. you are the one who knows that child and who sees those changes.
This is a big change.
Firsthand.
Yeah.
So even if you go to the teacher and say, I'm seeing this change in my child, and they say, oh, I haven't noticed it at school.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. You can still be pursuing that on your end, because as you're the caregiver, you are the strongest advocate. You have to be.
You have to be.
If you don't do it, who's going to do it?
Right.
So it's got to come from you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we went over our tips for like as a teacher. Do you have anything specific or different additional as a parent?
I would say the biggest thing is just that, you have to remember they are going to argue. They're going to grumble about it. They're going to fight you on it. Yeah. It's not fun.
They don't want to go.
Right. It's normal to not want to go back to school. So when they're whining and grumbling at you, you can go back to episode 3 on how to, keep your cool. And then also the transitions are hard. Yeah. So
being a kid is hard.
Yes. Being a kid is hard. And being a kid going through a big change is hard, hard, hard. So keep that first for sure the first week, as much as you can, that first month of school, laid back, low key. Obviously, extracurriculars are starting early, especially if we're older kids.
Yeah, but they might already be.
For our younger kids, give them maybe a little bit of time to get back in the routine before we're signed up for our soccer season again, and this and that, and our weekend plans. Like try to keep it chill and give them that time,
building that downtime
to break from all the things. Yeah, because it's a big change, and they need to take a minute to breathe, just like we do.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for that, Brigid. And that was only 16 minutes. I'm impressed.
Hey, Minisode.
Girl, let's do it. Okay. Well, then we will catch you next time.
Have a great school year.
Thanks. Bye-bye.